Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and somewhat surprising topic, 10 countries that Israelis can no longer visit. Now, you might be thinking, John, isn't that like a lot of countries to ban an entire citizenry from visiting? And you'd be right to think that, because it is a lot. But it's also a reality for millions of Israelis. Over the next few minutes, we're going to unpack the complex geopolitical situations, historical baggage, and frankly, sometimes just plain bizarre reasons why these travel restrictions exist. We're talking decades-old conflicts, religious tensions, and enough diplomatic red tape to wallpaper the Taj Mahal. Twice. So, buckle up, grab your metaphorical atlases, and maybe a snack, because things are about to get interesting. And by interesting, I mean equal parts fascinating and kind of depressing. First up, we have Iran, a country that probably doesn't spring to mind as a top vacation destination for most, unless you're really into Persian rugs and tense political standoffs. The relationship between Iran and Israel has been, shall we say, frosty for decades. We're talking about a relationship built on a foundation of mistrust, fueled by proxy conflicts, and seasoned with a healthy dose of rhetoric that would make a boxing promoter blush. From the Iranian Revolution in 1979 to the ongoing nuclear program disputes, there's been no shortage of tension. This animosity extends to travel, with Iran barring Israeli passport holders from entering the country. In their defense, it's right there in their passport guidelines, tucked between no chewing gum and please don't try to smuggle in a live peacock. Okay, maybe not those exact rules, but you get the idea. But here's the kicker. Despite the official ban, there are whispers, rumors, legends even, of Israelis using second passports to visit Iran, whether for business, family ties, or just a burning desire to see what all the fuss is about. Some are willing to navigate this geopolitical minefield. Next, we have Syria, a country that's tragically become synonymous with civil war and humanitarian crisis. The relationship between Syria and Israel has been fraught with conflict for over 70 years, marked by wars, border skirmishes, and a general atmosphere of distrust. The Golan Heights, a disputed territory captured by Israel in the 1967 Six-Day War, remains a major point of contention. Imagine trying to agree on a property line with your neighbor while they're actively building a trebuchet in their backyard. That's the kind of diplomatic environment we're dealing with. Unsurprisingly, travel between the two countries is virtually impossible. Syria enforces a strict ban on Israeli citizens, and honestly, with the ongoing conflict, it's probably for the best. It's hard to enjoy a relaxing vacation when you're dodging mortar fire and trying to find a decent falafel amidst the rubble. However, there have been rare exceptions for humanitarian reasons, proving that even in the most entrenched conflicts, compassion can sometimes find a way. Hold on to your hats, folks, because Lebanon adds another layer of complexity to this geopolitical lasagna. Technically still at war with Israel, Lebanon has a history interwoven with its neighbor, and it hasn't always been pretty. From the Lebanese Civil War, where Israel played a significant role, to the 2006 war with Hezbollah, the two countries have a shared past marked by violence and mistrust. This history casts a long shadow, making travel between them about as likely as finding a unicorn riding a unicycle on the moon. Lebanon enforces a strict ban on Israeli citizens, and even having an Israeli stamp in your passport can land you in hot water. They're not messing around, folks. It's like trying to sneak a giant inflatable pool toy past airport security. It's just not going to end well. Despite the official stance, there have been reports of Lebanese citizens visiting Israel for family reunions or religious pilgrimages. A glimmer of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, personal connections can bridge the divides carved by politics. Chapter 4. Iraq, caught in the crossfire. Let's talk about Iraq, a country that's no stranger to conflict itself. While not directly bordering Israel, Iraq has its own complex history with its Middle Eastern neighbor. Having fought against Israel in several wars, Iraq has long sided with other Arab nations in opposition to Israel's policies. The relationship between the two countries has been further strained by the instability in the region following the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. Imagine trying to build a house of cards in the middle of a hurricane. That's the kind of delicate diplomatic situation we're dealing with. Unsurprisingly, Iraq upholds a strict travel ban on Israeli citizens, making it about as easy to visit as it is to find a decent slice of pizza in Antarctica. It's not impossible per se, just highly improbable and likely to leave you disappointed and with a serious craving for pepperoni. However, with the recent Abraham Accords normalizing relations between Israel and some Arab countries, there's a glimmer of hope, albeit a faint one, that perhaps one day this could change. Chapter 5. Yemen, where ancient history meets modern restrictions. Yemen, a country steeped in ancient history and unfortunately, modern conflict, is our next stop on this whirlwind tour of travel restrictions. The relationship between Yemen and Israel is a tale as old as time, or at least as old as the establishment of Israel in 1948. Yemen, with its predominantly Muslim population, has long opposed Israel's policies, and the two countries have never established formal diplomatic relations. It's like trying to get your cat and your goldfish to be friends. It's just not going to happen without some serious intervention. Yemen enforces a strict travel ban on Israeli citizens, making it easier to find a talking donkey than an Israeli tourist in Sana'a. Okay, that might be a slight exaggeration, but you get the point. It's not happening. The ongoing civil war in Yemen, fueled by regional rivalries and humanitarian crises, further complicates matters. It's like trying to plan a vacation to a theme park that's currently experiencing multiple roller coaster malfunctions and a severe cotton candy shortage. Not exactly ideal. Chapter 6. Saudi Arabia. Oil, religion, and geopolitics. Saudi Arabia, the birthplace of Islam and a major player on the global stage, is next on our list. The relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel has long been defined by mutual suspicion and a shared dislike that would make a pair of grumpy cats seem downright affectionate. Officially, Saudi Arabia doesn't recognize Israel as a state, making travel between the two countries about as likely as finding a vegan butcher shop. It's a combination of religious sensitivities, political calculations, and a whole lot of historical baggage that would make a therapist reach for their extra-strength notepad. However, behind the scenes, things are a bit more nuanced. Shared security concerns, particularly regarding Iran, have led to some quiet cooperation between the two countries. It's like that awkward moment when you realize you and your nemesis have a common enemy. You're not exactly friends, but you're willing to work together when it's mutually beneficial. Despite these whispers of collaboration, don't expect to see Israeli tour groups strolling through Riyadh anytime soon. The official stance remains firm: no Israelis allowed. Chapter 7. Pakistan. A relationship defined by distance. Pakistan, a country with its own complex history and a strong Islamic identity, is next on our list. While geographically distant from Israel, Pakistan has maintained a consistent policy of non-recognition, making travel between the two countries about as likely as finding a penguin in the Sahara Desert. It's not just unlikely, it's geographically improbable. The reasons for this stance are multifaceted, ranging from solidarity with the Palestinian cause to domestic political considerations. It's a complex web of factors that would make a spider jealous, and just as easy to get tangled up in. Despite the official stance, there have been rare instances of Pakistani citizens traveling to Israel for religious pilgrimages or to participate in interfaith dialogues. It's a small glimmer of hope, like finding a single daisy pushing through a crack in the pavement. A reminder that even in the most unlikely of places, connections can blossom. However, for the average Israeli citizen, Pakistan remains firmly off-limits. A distant land shrouded in political complexities and a healthy dose of don't even think about it. Afghanistan, a country that's been ravaged by conflict for decades, is next on our list. With the Taliban back in control, the question of travel for Israelis is, well, a bit irrelevant at this point. It's like trying to book a cruise on the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. Not exactly a top priority. Afghanistan has never formally recognized Israel, and under the Taliban's strict interpretation of Islamic law, it's safe to say that Israeli citizens are not exactly welcome. It's the kind of situation where even bringing a travel brochure about Israel could land you in hot water, and not the relaxing jacuzzi kind. The ongoing humanitarian crisis and security concerns make Afghanistan a no-go zone for most travelers, regardless of nationality. It's like trying to plan a family reunion in an active volcano. Not exactly conducive to quality bonding time. For now, Afghanistan remains a country shrouded in uncertainty, and travel for Israelis, along with many others, remains a distant and unlikely prospect. Libya, a country still grappling with the aftermath of revolution and political instability, is next on our list. Having severed ties with Israel in 1970, Libya has long been a staunch critic of Israel's policies. It's the kind of relationship where even a wrong number phone call could spark an international incident. Travel to Libya for Israelis is, to put it mildly, highly discouraged. It's like trying to hail a taxi in the middle of the ocean. Technically possible, but highly unlikely and probably a bad idea. The lack of diplomatic relations, coupled with the volatile security situation, makes Libya a no-go zone for all but the most intrepid, or perhaps foolhardy, of travelers. However, there have been whispers of behind-the-scenes talks and potential for future engagement. It's like that moment in a romantic comedy when the two leads hate each other, but everyone in the audience knows they're going to end up together. It's a long shot, but hey, stranger things have happened. For now, though, Libya remains off-limits for Israelis, a country where the past casts a long shadow and the future remains uncertain. And finally, we arrive at Kuwait, a small but significant country that serves as a microcosm of the broader regional tensions. Kuwait, like many of its Arab neighbors, has long opposed Israel's policies and maintains a strict travel ban on Israeli citizens. It's the kind of situation where even mentioning the word falafel in Hebrew could raise eyebrows. The reasons for this stance are deeply rooted in history, politics, and religious solidarity. It's a complex tapestry woven from decades of conflict, mistrust, and a healthy dose of "we'll get back to you on that." While there have been glimmers of hope for improved relations in recent years, a handshake here, a shared plate of hummus there, the reality is that significant obstacles remain. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. It's not impossible, but it's going to take some serious skill, patience, and maybe a helmet. For now, Kuwait, like many of the countries on our list, remains a destination that's off-limits for Israelis, a reminder of the deep divisions that continue to shape the region. So there you have it, 10 countries that Israelis are effectively barred from visiting. It's a sobering reminder that while we live in an increasingly interconnected world, geopolitical realities and historical baggage can create barriers that are difficult to overcome. From the shores of the Mediterranean to the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, these travel restrictions offer a glimpse into the complex web of relationships, conflicts, and aspirations that shape the Middle East. It's a region where the past and present are inextricably intertwined and where the future remains unwritten. If nothing else, let this serve as a reminder that the freedom to travel, to experience new cultures, and to connect with people from all walks of life is a privilege not to be taken for granted. It's something worth striving for, worth advocating for, and worth cherishing. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intriguing content. Let us know in the comments which country surprised you the most.